Three. Awesome. Welcome to Taylor. Welcome to Contractors Mastermind 2020 edition. My name is Gino. I'm going to be your host tonight or today. Welcome to the show. We have Taylor Flynn, correct?
Correct. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Welcome, man. Out of Dallas, Fort Worth. So to get us started, tell me a little bit about you, your business, what you specialize in, some of your key selling points, and I'll kind of let you take it off from there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Taylor. I'm with a company called Majestic Outdoor Lighting based out of the Fort Worth, Dallas area. We service the entire metroplex of Dallas and its surrounding suburbs and lakes. We're strictly just a landscape lighting outdoor company where we specialize in low voltage. We will do some high voltage stuff from case by case, but I'd say 95% of our company is going to be low voltage, 12 volt. That's what we do. We do it well. Dallas is a very interesting market for our type of business. There's a number of big players in the market here, and then there's a ton of the middle to beginner players that are working out of their, maybe their garage or their truck. So the competition is very interesting, and made a lot of good friends along the way. So yeah. They're interesting there.
Man, that's awesome. So how long have you been in business? Where would you say on just a self-analysis that you fall into the ranks with? You mentioned some stuff with voltage, and I'm not sure if I followed that 100%. I'm not sure if everyone else will either, but how long have you been in business? And you think you're one of those big players, or are you kind of in the middle of it all?
Cool. So I'm one of the lead designers for Majestic. I handle all their commercial applications with home builders and pool builders and such. The owner, Justin Lee, he started this business in 2006 as a small player, really working outside of his house in the truck and, using his own lights to start off. But I would say that Majestic is now one of the top leaders in our market, and maybe one of the more recognizable companies maybe in the nation in our market, in our industry.
Right.
So, we started small. We started like everybody else. We put our money in our mouth where it should be in marketing and really doing the fundamental steps to let it grow. It didn't grow overnight, but it went well. And now we service, over 4,500 properties.
Wow.
We got started with just outdoor lighting. So.
You're only in Dallas, Fort Worth? Is that something that you guys are looking to continue expanding, or is there more? There's probably more market share to take over in Dallas, Fort Worth as it is, but is that kind of the base and where it's staying, or is there thoughts of moving it out?
Yeah, so that's a good question. When I came over to Majestic, I was in the franchising, distribution, and slightly manufacturing company for lighting, low voltage stuff as well. And so my background is with, scalability of business and growing and expanding franchise systems. I think it's definitely worth looking into, and we've talked about it. We just don't know when the right move is and the right key players, where to have them exactly to make that happen. Because we are a direct user or client company, right? We're not the middleman. So we're doing all the labor, all the installation, whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of gears that got to be turned, so to speak, to everything to go smoothly. So,
So how long you been with the company? You might have said that.
I've been here about almost 2.5 years.
Nice.
Been in the industry for almost 6 now. So.
Yeah. What has been some of the toughest parts, up to this point? We'll talk about kind of what's been going on with the coronavirus stuff or how y'all are being affected, but what's the kind of journey look like for you as a business, but also, I don't know if you can even speak for Majestic as a business. I know they've been around for a little bit, as you said, but what is like some of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome kind of moving forward in your career and your business? And
I think, yeah, I think as a whole, I think what I personally witnessed at Majestic and as an industry as a whole before Majestic is just labor. I think labor has just been the constant struggle for a lot of the green industry companies out there, landscaping, you know, what have you, irrigation. I'm finding, you know, different avenues of gaining employees, but it's also, you know, you're trying to play by the rules as well. So there's a fine line there, and trying to make, which is, you know, sometimes you can't handle as many jobs as you'd like, you know, in your industry because of it.
how many jobs are y'all doing? You said you're servicing 4,500 a month. Like, how many new jobs are y'all doing per month?
So 4,500 from the number of properties we've actually serviced since the start. We service, I think, probably 61 to 62 jobs a month.
Yeah.
Brand new installations. And that's running a few crews, you know, every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Just depending on your size of your company and your footprint, you know, in lighting, is, you know, you find most guys are trying to get, you know, 8 to 10 jobs a month starting out, or middle ground. So
That's awesome. What if what would you say some of the key selling points between you and your competitors are? You know, if a customer had to look at you and 3 other companies, like what makes you different? Why would they go with you in your company?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it doesn't matter what type of market or industry you're in. That's a very well-rounded question for anybody. And it depends on your business model, really. You know, do you want to be the cheapest, the most expensive? Do you pride yourself on customer service? That type of thing. What Majestic really does, and a real big reason why I came over to Majestic, was because of the fact that we pride ourselves on customer service, you know, from day one to the 1,000th day. You know, we're always there to answer the phone no matter what, which you find a lot of companies don't. One thing that I bring up in selling a lot with my clients is telltale difference between quality, because I know that more likely they're going to get 3 to 4 bids from different levels of players in the market, like I talked about.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just basically teach them about lighting to help inform them to make the best buying decision, whether that be with me or with somebody else. I feel like I'm doing my job, my due diligence to inform the client, so she can make or he can make the apples to apples comparison and make sure it's not apples and oranges.
Right.
They know the difference. I find that being the best. You know, it really helps them understand. And a lot of times, you know, we don't want to be the most, we like to be one of the top expensive client providers. And I'm open with that with my client. I'm telling them, like, we're not the cheapest. We don't want to be the cheapest. And I give them the reasons why. And it's like the light comes on, they're like, oh, you're right. You know, I said, it's kind of, you get what you pay for in this industry. And we didn't build this business and become the size we are because of that. Yeah. So we stick to our guns where we are. So there you are.
Sounds like you're sticking to your positioning of what y'all want to be in the market.
Yeah, you know, when we first started, you know, talking to the owners about it and talking and training multiple companies in this industry when they start, you really kind of take whatever you can get, you know. And and there comes a time as a business where you get to that line of profitability, versus time.
Right.
Chasing after a lot of crazy situations like repairing a system that's not even yours. Everybody does that starting out, I feel like, and even in the middle game. And then it's the bigger companies like us and a few other key players that we won't service systems outside of our system because our time is more of the current clientele rather than somebody we don't know. Now, the argument can be made that you could gain that client and turn them over, but there's a process to that too. So you got to weigh the balance, right? So.
Right. What's the number one way you're finding new clientele? The clientele that match what. I'm not sure if you're hearing me. I'm getting a little bit of crackles on my end. If you're, just let me know if everything's coming through clearly.
Yeah, I haven't heard a question yet or since. So.
Cool.
I'm on the interstate. So.
No, perfect. What is the number one way y'all are bringing in new clientele, bringing in new business? You mentioned a lot of stuff of like being very, the positioning of yourself, of the type of clientele you want to work with. What is your number one lead sources for stuff like that?
Sure. We have two different sales teams, divisions in our company. One is acquiring leads through your typical Facebook, Google, magazines, advertising that you do. The other division, which is what I lead up, is our commercial lead division. You've got to be a little bit more organized on top of things, but that's going through custom home builders, custom pool builders, landscape architects, those all kinds of careers out there that we're going through with what we call referral partners.
Right.
We find that our average ticket, sell is more when we go through the commercial end of things.
Yeah.
Because of that, the clientele is already expecting, a top tier service provider because they're dealing with a top tier service provider, whether it be a home or a pool. They've already been talked up about us and what we bring to the table.
Right.
So I typically hardly ever go up against a lot of bids. Our other division goes up daily against 3 to 4 bids per appointment.
I believe.
So with my clientele, I maybe see a handful of bids a year with my people, just because they're not. When you cross over into that clientele pool, it's different. They don't have the time to what they call quote unquote waste on contacting 4 different companies and setting 4 different appointments. They're too busy with their lives and their businesses. They just want the best one and done type of thing. We're privileged and blessed to have that opportunity.
So you're saying most of, if not all of the business commercial wise is coming through referrals. Do you have any, you mentioned Google and Facebook with the smaller ones, but for the commercial side, are you seeing any involvement with internet for finding new jobs in that regard, or not really?
I mean, if anything, I do social media wise for myself and the commercial industry part. It's me posting photographs, videos, information type of things to capture more builders, pool builders, architects. It's not so much for the clientele. I'm sure some of them see it, but I'm really just trying to emphasize the difference between subcontractors. If you've been in building construction or anything like that in the past, there's the good and the ugly with subcontractors, and it breaks down to really to be communication and how well informed they talk to each other. And that's one thing Majestic brings to the table is the communication. Like, we're always on top of it. We're always thinking through it. You're never not going to hear from me. I'm never going to ghost you, type of thing. Clientele love that. And in return, we only like to deal with subcontractors or builders that offer the same professionalism.
Right.
Our name is tied to it as well, and we don't want to be brought into a bad picture because of someone else's decision. yeah, so most of it's mostly my stuff is geared to gaining more referral partners.
Yeah.
Of course.
Man, how is kind of jumping into what's things looking like with in terms of the COVID-19 stuff going on for you guys? You know, are things ramping up or continuing to move up? You know, you mentioned that you're kind of getting caught up, but like, are y'all coming out of it? What is that whole transition looking like for you guys? And how are you adjusting everything?
Yeah, when COVID hit, you know, it's kind of like it felt like an overnight occurrence to us in our company because we were running full team, you know, strong. And then all overnight, you know, we got some phone calls from contracts that were signed either the days before saying they would like to hold off for now. And then we took a step back and really realized the impact that we're about to have on us. But like I told you, since the last quarter of last year, we've been booked out somewhere between 5 and 7 weeks,
right,
on the average. So the 2 weeks that we took a little lull in business, and when I say that, I mean mostly just getting new appointments. People were kind of self-guarding themselves, trying to hold on to make sure to see how things are going to fall before they make another decision, investment-wise. So we kind of got caught up. We got caught up to about 4 weeks, and then talking to a lot of my other friends in the green industries, man, it's like people got stuck at home and still are for a long time, and they're sort of realizing things that needed to be done around the house, whether it be new plants, a new outdoor grill, new lighting. Then our phones just blew up. I mean, again, like overnight, boom, the phones took off. Leads started pouring in through online. My builder started calling me, saying, "Hey, we're back up and rolling, and we're strong." So it's been great. I mean, we're full steam ahead right now, even amid stay-at-home order that Texas is in currently.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, I've noticed that. And it really comes down to mindset too, though. It's you know, for a time it was like, okay, brace for what's happening, but the people are going to come out of this. You know, a lot of I've seen some companies do record numbers during this time because people are bored and trying to find stuff to do. You know what I mean? It's like
exactly.
Like most of the people that would do some of this stuff haven't had the time to do this stuff, and now they're staying at home and working at home, and they have a little bit more time to kind of notice things that they might have overlooked in the past, especially in terms of kind of your business and others. You know, I've talked to deck builders and, you know, even remodelers and different guys in the industry, and it's like, it's cool to see just different mindsets of how Coronas have affected their business or not affected, or, you know, in that way. So, man, if you could go back 6 months ago and kind of prep for coronavirus coming down the pipeline, would there have been anything you could have done to kind of prep better, or, you know, is that kind of irrelevant in your eyes?
I mean, for the most part, I think it's kind of irrelevant to us. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And this is not going to be the last thing where we're going to see in our lifetime that's going to come out of nowhere and kind of put a pause on things in life. The only thing I think, I mean, honestly, we could have prepared for is maybe having PPE equipment, you know, on hand that was a little harder to source. So when we were back up and running after, you know, a week or so, we had the security for our clients, security for our guys to have, you know, all the proper masks and stuff. So I mean, that took us a while to find the source for, but I mean, only preparations that, I mean, if you run your business on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, you know, things like this can crumble you. You know, if you read any books about selling, they talk about the seasons of selling and, you know, the winter, the fall, the harvest, the whole 9 yards like that. And it's being prepared any given time for anything like this where your business can either stay afloat or survive. And I think Majestic's done that really well, and I'm proud to see Justin and Ryan Lee take care of that for us. So we all had a job, and we all can still make payroll and and things like that, where a lot of other companies had issues, until they got back up and running.
What are your plans for the business, and what do you think Justin's plans are for the next, let's talk about like benchmarks moving forward, 6 months, year, even the next 1 to 5 years. What does that look like for you guys, for yourself? And I'll kind of let you roll from there.
Yeah. For myself, of course, pushing the benchmark and the numbers, sales region is always nice.
Yeah.
And also pushing the benchmark and numbers for referral partners that are active. Of course, you get some that fall off and you get some that stay on. And it's just either they sold their business, retired, or whatever reason they may have come up, and they come back every 6 months and do a job. It's kind of strange. But as far as the business, continue to grow. We'd like to see more crews. Currently we run 3 solid crews right now. We'd like to obtain enough business and business flow to probably acquire total of 4 to 5 crews to get things really opening, and maybe launching a different line, a fixture to our carrying, to really give clients the very, very affordable option, as well as keeping what our brand is, and they're getting the affordable option and quality, but they're getting the expertise and professionalism that Majestic offers. Will probably be our next move in the next few years, bringing that to the market here in Dallas.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I love to talk to different companies that are really doing a lot of work, a lot of good stuff. This is my last question. It's kind of my favorite one because I never know where this one's going to go. I've gotten some interesting ones, but most have been pretty PG, which I'm grateful for. Any advice, thoughts, rude remarks, just any comments you want to share with anyone who may be listening, who might be in a similar position, or, however politically incorrect you want to be on the air, go right ahead, but that's up to you. So go ahead.
Similar positions, in any type of sales market, man, it's mental. A lot of the stuff that we do day in and day out, the mental game. If you're having a bad day for whatever personal or professional reason, exercise your mental day off. Clients, especially if you're in an end user client relationships, man, they can read that stuff like a plague.
Right.
Whether the market be the cause of it or whatnot, man, the worst thing you're gonna do to shoot yourself in the foot is walk into a meeting or a proposal meeting with a client and just be Debbie Downer negative. And you might not say those words, but it reads off your facial expressions and your body language. I find that's probably the strongest thing I could recommend. People check themselves every day in the mirror and mentally make sure that they're sound for the day ahead. Otherwise, take it off. I mean, there's things you can do in the office, paperwork, to get ready for the next day.
Right.
Achieve those goals as well. So that'd be my recommendation.
Awesome. Well, Taylor, I appreciate you hopping on, man. I'm going to wrap up this recording. If you want to say anything before I sign off, appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you.